My son was a poor sleeper. Several nights a week he'd stumble out of his bedroom, rubbing his eyes and struggling to fight off tears. I was always awake, usually watching late-night TV while my partner dozed beside me. It's not like I didn't want to sleep. Of course I did. But I was a patrol cop and an insomniac. Sleep barely came at the best of times. Those years weren't anywhere close to the best of times.
Are you okay, Mommy?
Yeah, honey, I'm okay.
I saw something scary.
I'd go into his room and make a big show of checking his closet, under his bed, and his window. The window really scared him.
There's a bad guy out there,
he always said.
I'm gonna help you get him.
Noah was big on getting bad guys. Not at all surprising. I've been a cop since before he was born. He told me all the time that he was going to grow up to get the bad guys too. I stopped checking his room around his 4th birthday. He would still toddle out, lip quivering, and ask the same question.
Are you okay, Mommy?
Yeah, bud, I'm okay.
I saw something scary.
It was just a nightmare, honey. Go ahead and go back to sleep. Noah blinked sleepily. One eye was always squinty. He could never quite open it till he'd been awake a good 10 minutes. So he looked at me, one eye closed like a little pirate, then nodded and stumbled back to bed. It was the same script, night after night. Maybe I handled it wrong. I always wondered if it'd be better for me to ignore him, or even get angry. But other than this late-night ritual, he slept on his own just fine. Most of the time, he didn't even remember waking up. These nights blended together into a warm, rosy continuum. It was selfish of me, but I looked forward to them. I worked 3rd shift with a fair scattering of graveyard overtime. Due to sleep and work, I rarely saw Noah. That's what made our nighttime ritual so precious. It was the only time we really had by ourselves. My wife was always asleep whenever Noah came. Between her illness, caring for Noah, and general stress, she had no energy. So, most nights off, I'd sit awake into the wee hours, watching TV in a pointless bid to suppress the darkness that was eating me alive. Noah pushed the darkness back. Not by much, but enough to keep me from sliding headlong into the pit. It went like this for almost 2 years, night after night. The very last time he had a nightmare, the ritual finally changed. Noah bumbled out, rubbing his eyes. They were teary and his face was puffy.
Mommy, are you really okay?
Yeah, bud, I'm okay. The words, almost a chant by this point, visibly soothed him.
I saw a bad guy in the window.
It was just a bad dream, honey. Next to me, my wife shifted.
I want to stop the bad guys.
You will when you're grown up. Until then, I'm here. He released a last shuddering breath.
I love you.
I love you too. Go ahead and go back to sleep. I never saw him again. Early the next morning, my wife took Noah for a drive. He loved being in the car. It was his favorite thing. The drive was almost over. They were 3 blocks from home. She waited until the light down at the intersection, a good 2 blocks away, turned red. Waiting for the flow of traffic to stop is the only safe way to do it. That's what she did. That's what she always did. But this one time, at the exact wrong moment, someone sped through the red light at 70 miles an hour, hitting the passenger side and killing Noah. It pulverized him. We couldn't even have an open casket funeral. My wife never recovered. I didn't treat her well in the aftermath either. She had a lot of chronic pain from her injuries, and on top of her health problems, couldn't function without medication. I didn't quite dare to openly blame her for Noah's death, but I ridiculed her for the painkillers, called her dead weight, a drug addict. We divorced and never spoke again. She died a few years ago from complications related to her illness. I miss her every day. I never told her. and now I never can. I try to tell myself she wouldn't care, but I know that's a lie. After the divorce, I rose through the ranks at my job pretty quickly for a while, but I stalled out at senior detective. The department assigned me to the sex crimes unit and kept me there for 10 years. I thought patrol had eaten me alive, but this was a whole other monster. I made a lot of enemies, some in high places, even uncovered a couple of my fellow officers, including my best friend. I became a functioning alcoholic and withdrew from everyone. Friendships and relationships weren't worth it. How could they be, when there was no way to tell who was good and who was a monster? In the end, I wanted to die. Every night before the drinking commenced, I unholstered my gun and set it on the coffee table. Then I prayed that I'd get drunk enough to finally kill myself. Occasionally, I got close, but whenever that happened, I'd wake up from the haze and, for just an instant, I'd be 31 again, with my wife dozing beside me and my son tromping down the hall to ask if I'm okay. Those moments are what I live for now. I was trying to get to that point a week ago. I sat in the living room, like always, splitting my focus between the TV and my gun, while steadily drinking myself into a stupor. Somewhere in the house, a door creaked open. I didn't pay any attention. The house was old when we bought it. It's incredibly drafty, and I haven't exactly been keeping up on repairs. It creaks and whistles all the time. And then something rustled in the hall. I turned as a small, familiar voice asked,
Are you okay, Mommy?
And there he was, Noah, 4 years old with a big head and red pajamas, squint-eyed and rubbing his face as his lip trembled. For a delirious minute, I could almost believe that the past 20 years had been a dream. Yeah, bud, I'm okay.
I saw something scary.
It was just a nightmare, honey. Go back and go to sleep. He nodded and stumbled back to his room. After a few minutes, I got up and checked the room. Empty. Cleared out. Just as it had been for 2 decades. I slid to the floor. Cracking joints, sore muscles, and alcohol nausea drove home the fact that I was very much 50 and very much alone. No bad dreams for me. Only a bad life. I cried myself to sleep. Noah came to me for several nights after that, stumbling out of that empty bedroom, squinty and weepy. Same script, same words.
Are you okay, Mommy?
Yeah, bud, I'm okay.
I saw something scary.
It was just a nightmare, honey. Go ahead and go back to sleep. I quickly learned not to check his room afterward. It wasn't much, I know that. But, in all honesty, it's about as much as I had when he was alive. If I could have this ritual, just this ritual, for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. But last night, he came out crying.
Mommy, are you really okay?
Yeah, bud, I'm okay.
I saw a bad guy in the window.
It was just a bad dream, honey.
Mommy, I want to stop the bad guys.
My mouth went dry. Profound despair bloomed in my chest. So this was the end. Barely a week and already done. You will when you're grown up. Until then, I'm here.
No, I want to stop them now.
A series of muffled thumps suddenly came from Noah's old room. All the hair on my body stood on end. Come here, Noah. Noah shook his head, inconsolable.
No!
More thumps and a muffled curse. My gun gleamed on the coffee table, ominous and inviting. I picked it up and crept into the hall. Heavy footsteps emanated from his room. The knob rattled and the door creaked open. The muzzle of a shotgun came first, followed by the intruder. He froze when he saw me. His eyes glinted strangely, reminded me absurdly of lacquered porcelain. I shot him. The back of his skull exploded, coating the door in blood and dull curls of brain matter. I turned to Noah, ready to sweep him up and comfort him. But he didn't need comforting. He was radiant. Tears were dry, and he was smiling. He'd never smiled during our ritual before. That told me everything I needed to know. My heart broke again.
I got the bad guy.
He stumbled sleepily down the hall into his room. You did, I said. He stopped at his bedroom door and released a contented sigh, oblivious to the corpse crumpled on the threshold.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you too. My throat seemed to swell, choking off the words. Noah waited patiently. I struggled to get myself under control. We had a routine, a ritual, and I owed it to him to finish it. Go ahead and go back to sleep. He went into his room. After an agonizing second, I ran after him. Of course, it was as bare as ever. The emptiness destroyed me in a way nothing else ever has. I crawled into the corner where his bed used to be and wailed. I called 911 a few hours later. I apologized for the delay, said I had a panic attack and blacked out. No one cares. I'm on a routine internal affairs investigation, but that's just for show. My would-be killer was a guy I'd put in jail years ago. Child abuser, scum of the earth. I didn't even remember him. I don't want to. I know I won't see Noah again. My son slept poorly for 24 years because of me. He got the bad guy, so I'm sure he's resting now. And wherever he is, I hope there aren't any bad dreams.